Hi there, how are you doing today? I'm back and you have reached me on a Sunday sews. So I do Friday sews every week and then I'm throwing in some Sunday sews to just finish out and round out my week so you get all the information that I have. Today I am going to speak about a beautiful little blouse called the Ballad Blouse. And it is brought to you by Love Notions. And I'll show you the blouse. So this is my finished product. And of course I will put some photos of me in it. The Ballad Blouse is a PDF pattern by Love Notions. Love Notions does not do paper patterns. They only do digital format, and they do it either copy shop, projector, or print at home. And because, well, maybe because they only do digital, their quality of printing is the best. So what I mean by that? What I mean by that is that, like, when you go to cut out a page, and let's say it's a sleeve, it will be on 2 pieces of paper. You won't have like the head of the seam just barely eking up in the piece of paper above. And their pages are no trim, so you don't have to trim them. And additionally, that's very readily available what you need to print. So Love Notions is known for having pretty many options, and this is no exception. So there's 5 sleeves and 2 different yokes, one sheared, one gathered. And because of that, if you were to print out the whole file, you would be printing a lot of paper, but you simply go to that chart I just showed you. And if you're gonna do like the gathered bodice, you just print the pages for the gathered. And as a matter of fact, it comes in full bust and regular bust, and you don't need to print out both of those either, you just choose. And that brings me right into how you choose your size. Well, it does come from an XS to a 5X. And that means that your high bust can range from 31 inches to 55 inches. And she has her body measurements and the finished garment measurements, both in imperial and metric. So, with that being said, I had a little hard time deciding which size to do. There is a lot of ease in this blouse. It's intended to have a lot of ease. I would suggest if you are a apple shape, that for sure you want to try this blouse out. I just can't imagine it wouldn't look just beautiful on you. And I liked it quite a bit myself. So let's go with the cutting out. I did quite a bit of work on the cutting table. But the first thing I did after I cut my first renditions is I did sew a toile. And as you can see, this is not a wearable one. It only has 1 sleeve and no finished edges. But I got the construction understood, except for that I didn't. I thought I had, and I'll get back to that. Excuse me, my blouse just fell. Okay, so like I said, I did quite a bit of cut work. So we'll start with, I did the gaping neckline adjustment. And that is described here in Ahead of the Curve, which is a book I've read and reviewed and purchased. And a gaping neckline, what you do is you take a little bit in right here, and then you put it out into the arm or the bust. So that's how I did that one. The next adjustment I did is I did a high rounded upper back adjustment. Well, to do that adjustment, there's pictures here showing how you take a pinch out of the neck area, and then because of that, you have got a horizontal balance line that now is not level, and then you fill in that gap. Well, this pattern has a yoke, so I just kind of did my own thing So what I did was I took that little bit out, and it did create that extra volume there, which meant that now my bottom yoke is not even anymore. So I evened it out. And then that caused this not to be even. So I trued it up and created a seam. And let me pick my shirt up off the floor and I'll show it to you. I guess it's not a shirt, it's a blouse. It is pretty. So there's my seam. Can't see it, right? Yeah, it's great. This is a very nice fabric. I've been on a roll for nice fabrics lately. It is a viscose. Okay, let's give that old lady a little bit of help with the name of the fabric. It's called Austin, the Circleline. It's Rachel Parker for Dashwood Studio. And as I explained in a previous video, it has all my colors. So it goes really well in my closet. Now, I will have to say that a lot of my bottoms are blue, and I didn't really quite see that until I bought this blouse. So I might be introducing some unblue bottoms, whether it's shirts or skirts or pants. I don't know which, but maybe culottes, who knows? But there's some fabric that I have my eye on, and they might be coming into my closet. Back to this. So I was on the back yoke adjustment. Okay. Here are my pattern pieces if you wanted to look at them closer. As you can see, I also modified the lower part of the back. Not only did I need to true it up, but I didn't mind adding a little length in the middle. 47. Okay, so I couldn't really decide whether to do the full bust or not, so I cut them both out. And I decided on not doing the full bust, and it fits good. And that's the beauty of doing a little bit of a quick sew up of the pattern. So, okay, so now back to my sleeve choice. Oh, and I didn't do sheer just because I've never done it and I wasn't ready to learn it the first time through. So, but that doesn't mean I won't. Okay, so the sleeve I wanted to do was this one. It's a puff sleeve with these little strings. Now, I like the cutout detail. Ooh, and you know what I just thought of? Cutout's supposed to be a thing now. So I guess I'm on trend. But those strings I thought would feel like a fly on my arm. I just wasn't sure that would work for me. So I had to modify that. So I made the toile, and I wanted that cutout to be pronounced. So I wanted to not just sew them down straight. I wanted to angle them out. Does that see what I'm saying? Because I wanted it to be that there'd be a little air conditioning there. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate something. So if you angle a piece of fabric out like that, then I don't have room for my hem, right? Because then if I go to do my hem, that's not going to catch. So, okay, so I made a modification on the sleeve pattern, and I just brought this down a little bit, and that's, again, is just to accommodate the hem. So that's how I addressed the cutout. But the real thing I wanted to address were those strings. And so after I basted those together at the bottom, I took my bias tape that I created, and I just sewed it around completely without having the strings. I ended up with a sleeve circumference of like 14 inches, and it fits, you know, just, I would say, like perfect. And then the hem is, I gotta cancel that out. Okay, the hem is sewn in. It's not just turned up. So I just had some white bias tape that I had made myself, and it was in my drawer. And I used that bias tape for my hem. It's about 1 inch. Okay, so that is it. I love it. I think it's beautiful. Okay, so this segment I actually had to record after I finished recording because I left out a portion of the blouse. So if things seem a little different and spliced in, it's because they are. So I want to go over a little bit of the instructions. Again, I recommend Love Notions patterns. They have good instructions. On the Ballad Blouse, you're going to have your About page. It says that it's a good addition to your spring and summer wardrobe. It's designed for fabrics with drape, woven fabrics. And it has a functional button-down placket. It has an easy silhouette. Okay, so the thing I missed is I want to talk about the placket a little bit. Okay, so you get to start by learning the shearing, which of course I skipped. And then after that, you're going to prep your placket. And then after that, you're going to get into sewing your back yoke. And there's 2 of them. And you're going to do the burrito method and attach your shoulders. Now, if you're not doing the sheared part, you skip to the next page. And again, if you're having trouble with the burrito, she's got a video for it. Now, page 14, step number 8 is where things got dicey for me. And I just a little bit got confused. And well, at first I just totally overlooked it. I made my wearable toile and I just simply sewed in, I thought it was just a little facing, not a placket. And so I sewed it to the inside. And I assumed that was right. And so I went to sew my finished garment and I was looking at the directions and I just really got confused. And I thought, well, you know how like instructions have legends that will show like, you know, the interfacing's heavily dotted and the legend for the inside is grayed out sometimes and sometimes it's white and sometimes it's vice versa. Well, this was lightly grayed out and I thought, well, I think I'm just looking at it wrong. It has to be the correct side of the fabric. And so I sewed my placket on backward. And then I went to step 9 and I was even more confused. And I just didn't understand the first sentence, but the second sentence said understitch. Well, I loved understitch. I'm like, well, I understand that. So I go to understitch. And then as I looked and looked and studied, I somehow missed the memo that the placket is actually brought to the front. So in other words, you sew it with the right side of the fabric to the wrong side, the right side of the placket to the wrong side, and then you flip it forward. All's good in the end. It's beautiful. And I use the sheer interfacing from Palmer Pletch. And I always use that, but it's especially important to use it on such a nice drapey fabric because you don't want to lose that drape. And so, yeah, and then I put in some functional buttonholes. And me and my friend picked out these buttons from my stash. And that concludes the story of the placket. Let's go on to the rest of the video. I have to change how I'm washing it. I've worn it like 3 times and washed it 3 times and it's shrinking. So I have to, I guess I just can't put it in the dryer. So that's how that goes. Oh, and I will show you, I did put in the labels again that I'm making these days. Now, for some reason, it's not sticking as well as the others. So I'm just going to have to be very aware of pressing the full time and pressing hard and really cooling it. Although I do know I cooled that because I did it once at the end of a sewing session and then left it. But I hope that isn't a problem going forward. We'll see, because as you know, I've been putting them in everything and I'll see how they last. It's all new. I've only been doing this for about 10 days. So we'll see how well they all last. Okay, so anyway, yeah, that is a great pattern. I suggest it. I will admit it wasn't even on my radar until Friday that Love Notions offers their patterns for $5, and I got it for $4.50. But it was worth it, and it's beautiful. And what can I say? Have a great holiday weekend. Bye-bye. All right, thanks so much for watching. I'm just gonna let you watch some pictures of the pattern pieces in case you can learn something from them. And then after that, there'll be some styling footage, and I'll put some music on so you don't have to just listen to my voice. It's just another minute left. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Well, that was a disappointment. What happened was I had some music and YouTube silenced it out. So I have been editing this video for way longer than I should have. So I'm going to go ahead and just stop with the audio portion. But I would love it if you finished, and thanks for your patience. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.